So hello guys, what's up, this is ScherBR talking, welcome back to my channel. In today's video we'll be discussing this new banner called UDX Darque. Alongside UDX Darque banner we will receive Divine Towers Darque. This is an event where we get the S style of Darque that's extremely useful for UDX Darque for Dex debuff. We also got the Divine Tower Matriarch as a permanent event. Divine Tower Darque is also a permanent event, so you can take your time to do it. But let's discuss this banner. We have only one limited style, and it's worth discussing this right from the start because this makes this banner lower value than some others. Why? Because Sif Mirsa can appear in your Platinum pose, although you should not believe that you'll be getting them sooner rather than later. Like me, I still don't have Grey, Barbara, Heal Albert, and many other good styles. Sif and Darque received buffs. Sif is now way better than she was in Japan. Darque only received status buffs. In my opinion, both Darque and Sif are worth, but it will depend if you really need Sif right now or if you can wait till you can get her or a replacement. Mirsa is not bad, it's just that we have way too many tanks and they received some buffs, some of them got released before their time, so Mirsa has a complication when you compare him to others. Okay, so let's discuss starting with Darque. Okay, so we are now on Reddit, and this post was made by Hans for A3. This guy is amazing, he always do this job, thanks so much for doing it. Darque only received a status buff, like I said, only 4% more agility, and he kept the same bonuses, and 5% more intelligence. This intelligence buff is better than the agility one, and I'll explain later. Mirsa didn't receive any buff, but Sif received some buffs that are, well, very important. Okay, so now we go to Roma SaGa, and here we have Darque. Darque is a happier user, and we had a freestyle of him before, probably most people will have it, and I said it was a very good style. And you can get some inheritance from it. This one has a higher agility cap, you see 5 more points, and you can also get it faster, while the S style will give endurance, and the newest style will give you more dexterity, the base of his damage. Intelligence is also here, and intelligence is important in his own build. Looking for multipliers, you can already see that Darque had before buffs less than 500%. We have some characters from the future that have way more than that, that's why they give him some status bonus, but they kinda knew that Darque was good enough, they didn't need to buff him for people to summon. As for multipliers, we can see that he has very high dexterity, even comparing to, well, the characters we have from the future. 96 is very good, 70 bonus even, very nice. He got a little more agility and more intelligence, like we said, and these are the 3 most important status for him. His endurance is bad, the same can be said for Will, and bad love and every charm. When compared to the past 3 version of him, he gets the upper hand in all status. As you can see, all status he's better on. And now for skills, Darque has an impressive set, and the good thing is that he really does not need another limited style to perform well. You can get him even better if you have the free style, so you can inherit 1 skill. But look, the first one is Low Knife, this one here is an AoE attack, indirect, that can be used every time. It's even only 3 BP. I think this is one of the fewest cases that we have this. We also have this with Final Emperor. His AoE attack, it's only 2. And this means that he can slowly build up his own BP to use again. And he becomes easy to use on weekly and monthly content as well, just like we see Wagner's. Although they work different, Wagner's gets more BP by killing, allowing him to get some powerful skills more often. But still, we can see that this attack is amazing for constantly fired ups. The second one is Stinger. This attack here is, well, good because it has an instant kill chance, and you can decrease this to 8 BP, allowing Darque to instant kill twice in a 3-turn cycle. That's amazing. We don't have many cards that can do that. That's the same cost as Princess Ray. Princess Ray has a small chance to kill. Now with such a high intelligence, he will even kill more often than Princess Ray, but not more often than Miriam. The newest version of Miriam has a higher intelligence. She's a mage, she's more easy to use. Because such a high agility will also be instant killing more often with our version of Darque. And Miriam does not have 8 BP coast. Her instant Q is more pricey, so he gets the upper hand against Miriam because he can use this twice in the 3-turn cycle, while Miriam cannot. That can be said at the same for comparing him to Ultra Deluxe Death, but Ultra Deluxe Death has a large chance. It's almost a guarantee that Ultra Deluxe Death will kill targets, even some with resistance, while Darque should still be used against enemies that don't have resistance, unless they have very, very low ones. The good thing is that you can also place Darque in plus 25% intelligence instead of just going for 50, because the chances being medium allow him to not need 50%. If you want to use him alongside other instant killers, that is. The damage is pretty high as well, so if he does not kill by damage, he kills by instant death. I feel like this is one of the best attacks for Hyper users ever, since you can use it in a 3-turn cycle. Okay, and now we can even go further with the last skill, Unchangeable. This skill has one of the highest multipliers for Hyper users with a single attack. 73 modifier is insane. It's just like, I think, the same as Hannibal. Let me check. Yeah, so here we are comparing the damage of Hannibal and UDX Darque. They have the same modifier. Just something that we need to remember. Some characters that can do multiple attacks, like Ferdinand, that also do Slash and Pierce, will produce a higher output damage when comparing the cost of their skills, because Ferdinand does not need that much BP. He can also attack more often, and he can do a higher number of attacks. But for instant nuke, for turn 1 damage or turn 2 damage, UDX Darque will be very, very powerful, just like we have with Hannibal. Let's click on Hannibal just to see the overall damage of him right now. In Japan is 53,000. You can see that Hannibal still performs pretty fine. Let's see for Darque. Darque has a little less, yes, because Darque has something different for passives. We will be talking about that as well. But the difference is around, you can see 10% in damage because of passives. But okay, let's return to Darque here. And okay, a very powerful nuke, and can also be used on turn 1 just like Hannibal. Why? Because Darque introduces Power Charge 3. Power Charge 3 adds plus 3 BP on the start of battle. It's a very powerful passive for nuking events where we have only 1 wave or 2 waves, or if you want to dish out very high damage for, I don't know, maybe Final Island. He will also be very useful in Final Island. It comes with a coast. For boss fights you have a passive that, well, has no effect after first turn. But then we have Dexterity Filling. Increases your dexterity on the beginning of the round by 20%. This is not calculated in our Roma SaGa, so now that we know that, Darque will deal more damage than this value that's showing here. It should be very close or similar to Hannibal, but you know, Darque has a way better agility, while Hannibal is extremely slow when compared to him. Okay, so also we have chance to insta-kill, many things. I do think that Darque is way better than Hannibal when you compare everything. Hannibal is still top tier, it's just that UDX Darque has also AoE cycles or instant kill chances, something that Hannibal cannot provide. For the last one we have Fired Up 5, so 20% increase in damage at all times. The bad thing about Darque is that the first 2 passives will wear off very soon. Dexterity Filling only increases on the start of a round. The start of a wave is the same thing, so after that, the buff wears off and you will not have this ability useful anymore. So only the last one will be active. That's the price that he pays to be used in boss fights, but for other contents like weekly content, events where we have only 1 boss to farm and everything else, he will shine and be very useful. And now we can talk about inheritance, since we have some very interesting ones that will allow him to be useful in specific boss fights. We can check here. Well, let's compare this one here. We have this attack that is both Pierce and Slash. I don't think this is useful since the BP cost is, well, not so interesting. But we do have Firecracker. Firecracker is an AoE attack with both Heat and Pierce. With his high agility, we can kinda determine that he will go first, depending on the character that we are using, or we can also use Inverse Sigmoid and place him on the front. The damage will be pretty high since he has 1 passive and 1 dex buff to himself. The second skill, called Circumdance's Word, is Sword Ballet. This skill is available to many people and will be able to be upgraded in the future, but right now it's not that good. But in future builds you can also use this twice in a 3-turn cycle, because it gets 1 BP reduced, and it's better, way better. Okay, and for his S-style that we get from Tower, he has now this Dex debuff attack. It's the lowest cost possible, only 2 BP, allowing him to get more BP to be, well, use it in overdrive attacks. Imagine that you are facing a boss that attacks only with physical attacks. It's rare, because most bosses will attack with both physical and magical, but let's say it only attacks with physical. Usually, the buffing dexterity, if the attacks are based on dexterity, like sword icon attacks, happier icon, great sword icons, bow icons, spear icons. If your enemy has a martial arts icon in their attacks, this will not help you. Spells will also not help you, so it will depend on the type of boss. Right now we have other characters that can do that. We have Vassalt. Yes, Vassalt can also debuff dexterity. The UDX version of Madeline can also debuff dexterity. So you will never need 3. If you already have those 2, you probably don't need him, but remember, his intelligence is extremely high. He has a higher intelligence when compared to Madeline, so sometimes he will be better to be used for this specific job. The problem is just that right now Matriarch don't buff dexterity, so Matriarch will buff the damage for Madeline and also Vassalt, because she buffs intelligence, and STR, their main status, while she will not buff the damage of Darque. I think that Darque is better used with Naal's daughter. Yes, or, well, you can use Matriarch together as well, but the thing is that the damage will not increase. And just remember, you will probably not need more than 1 dexterity debuffer, or sometimes maybe 2. Sometimes it will be overkill, but it will allow you to evade attacks sooner. The buffing dexterity debuffs the accuracy of physical attacks that are based on the weapons I said, and it allows you to evade. That's why we also use Matriarch to increase our agility to evade even further. Matriarch or Naal's daughter. Anyway, the second one is called Poisonous Bee, and this one has a chance to poison. Yeah, this one is good because it's 6 BP. The bee damage is not that high, but then it's enough to poison the enemy again. It is poisoning for 4 turns, and as you can see, the chance is medium. Medium with Darque means a lot. It's not high, but it should be enough to inflict poison in some enemies that don't have resistance, allowing us to have some interesting strategies for the future. Although, you need to use your Darque in an intelligence position. You can also use it in a Tiger Shark position where it increases both dexterity and intelligence, and I must say that Darque kinda works pretty fine on that, especially if you are running Darque for weekly or monthly content. As for cyclings, Darque has many different ones. We can open with the 3rd skill, and then just go with the first one. Just fine, it will work with a single target attack, then AoE, or we can go for 2nd skill twice in a 3-turn cycle. We can also go with Firecracker on turn 2, and then the 1st skill on the turn 3. We also have a way to just use our Sword Ballet attack, and then just keep using the 1st skill on 3 BP, so it does not change. We can also go for the skill number 3, the Nuke attack, and then just keep using the inherited from the S Tower version. So, as you can see, there are many different setups for Darque. That is a very good about him, since he does not need any other limited style. Okay, so that allows us to discuss that Darque is right now very strong as a damage dealer. He is one of the best instant killers, although his only competition right now is Albert and Claudia that can use twice in a row. So some conquest events may need you to instant kill on wave 1 and 2. Darque cannot do that, so you will probably still be using Award Claudia and Albert for this job. But if you have 2 waves, he's still pretty powerful to be used on wave 1 and 3 or wave 2 and 3. As an opener for many events, he would dish out a lot of damage as well. But do you really need this much of stuff? I think I need. The problem is the price that I have to pay to summon for Darque. Like I said, he does not need another premium style. So I must say that he's one of the top tier characters right now, based on so much utility you can get from a single style. Now, that is if you also have the free one. And the next one is Mirsa. Mirsa has 3 different SS styles. In Japan, we got UDX Mirsa that was buffed to stratosphere. There is S that we get from the tower, that's a fixed event. And then there is this one that's a tank Mirsa. The future one is a mix between everything and the best version of him. That is if you have the inheritance for Steel Blade Light. But this one could be useful, I think it's just that you don't need to rush to get. We get more arrows for endurance because this one is more tanky and also more spirit. Spirit is will. Okay, and now for modifiers we have our 84% in STR. We got some larger values for the UDX version, but the endurance is amazing on 103%. His will is not that bad, above average, but not as high as his endurance. And well, bad agility, bad dexterity, bad intelligence, and okay-ish value for charm. I was suspecting he would get a little more since he's a tank and will sometimes need to be healed. But then let's just discuss him as a whole. The first skill, Silver's Word, this one is... I think that this time they kinda made it work. 4 BP by slash and sun damage, 21 modifiers, not bad. It's just that we use Mirsa for the healing instead of just damage, and if you don't have the UDX Mirsa, this one can be okay. And if you don't have the UDX Mirsa, you can still use this one, if you lack some other options. Offensive and defensive has a larger cost, but this gives you 2 turns effect, so if you use this every 2 turns, you will always have a guard up medium in place. If you use Noel's Daughter, this clashes, well, her buff is 15%, this one is 25%, it may help you here and there. And if you're using him on Tiger Shark formation, you have a higher chance of being attacked, draining more damage. The damage is also pretty okay, 32 with a modifier is exactly what we want from a 6 BP skill, although it's getting a little old. For the last one is the same attack as the second version of Albert, the second Platinum version. Death Albert has the same skill, it's an AoE slash plus sun attack with okay multipliers, okay damage, nothing extraordinary, but it's not a node design, gives you the same or similar damage to offensive and defensive, but AoE. For farming it may be useful, but this version of Mirsa don't have a high agility, so it should be hard to, well, program him to use this attack unless you are using Sigmoid formation and placing him on the front. I think that this gives him some more edgy when comparing to the UDX version that has a higher agility. You can see it's the one with the highest agility. So if you inherit this attack into UDX, it should be easier to use this skill. And for passes, the first one is a counter passive and does not negate damage. It only works against direct attack, it will reduce the damage by 35 and will counter with this attack here. That is the same as the first one. So you have a counter with slash and sun. The problem for me is that we received many other counter attackers with a higher value. There's Cotton that heals, there's Madeline that can buff and heal as well, and he just dish out damage and not negate the direct attack. So it's an inferior version than many tanks that we received so far. Then we have 25% chance of negating any type of damage. That is something that we have with Ocelus, Bune, and some other characters as well. And it's a very good thing, but it's just that it's not reliable. It's useful for frontal or damage dealers, but for tanks, I would prefer him to receive less damage overall, or just negate direct attacks with a lower chance than just having this. But at least this means that you have 25% chances of negating even direct attacks. Yeah. And for the 5 for 20% increasing damage. So the damage coming from this guy is nothing extraordinary since it's only 84 STR compared to other slashers that we are just receiving. This is not that good. His bonuses are also based on endurance and will. So nothing good for the damage, but okay-ish as a tank, more for those that don't have anything better. And for inheritance, I don't think that you have anything interesting since his S style is the only one that will be free for you. And the future version of him is way better, this one that we will be discussing. It's one of the top damage dealers for Slash in Japan even now, and also deals magical damage. When you compare them here, yeah, the second skill is an AoE magical attack that is based on intelligence. He has a very high intelligence in STR. The past version of he also had a counter with spell. Yes, the UDX version counters with spell. So this character is based on both spells and physical attacks, and sometimes he's tanky. I don't think that you should summon for this version of Mirsa at all. And if you get him, you can make some use only if you lack better tanks. And now it's time to discuss Sif, and well, the second star of the banner. Sif has some styles here. One is from Tower, this one is from Tower. Spiral Tower, you have a chance to get. Some people still don't have her. I got her pretty late. This was Teacher Sif, it was limited. She is actually very useful up to this day. I still use her for some content. And this is the newest Platinum version of Sif. She also have this one that we get when you start the game. This one was released in the summer. We also had a chance of getting this again recently. And the A style. This one has a higher dexterity. And nothing else, just one arrow for SDR. You should still train with the older versions of her, at least there are many that has 2 arrows. Okay, so now we shall discuss the multipliers, and this is where we get back to Reddit, because they changed just her dexterity. Her increased now for 72, yes, instead of 65. This is good because, well, sometimes in the current contents, our characters can miss their attacks, and in my case, even Atlas is missing sometimes, but nothing stellar. Okay, and now instead of just going with our Naurama SaGa feel of the character, let's stick to Reddit because they changed her a lot. Yes, let's start with the skills. The first one is a 7 VP, you can reduce this to 5, you can awaken it twice. There is a chance of instant killing with B damage. Well, we can also check the skill here, and it can be awakened twice, so it's a 5 VP attack. The problem is just that she doesn't have high intelligence, well, 51. She may land an instant kill here and there, but it should not happen too often. Don't think that she's an insta-killer like some of the best ones. And also, no version of her will have a high enough intelligence to be a good instant killer. So now let's return here. The second attack is uppercase slash. This one was buffed for global, and it's the same attack, but now with a buff. Yeah, she attacks with this attack that can be reduced to 7 BP for an S damage attack, and she will also increase her own STR. And we have to understand something here, it's a medium effect. Medium effect is 40% increase in STR. How do we know that? Here, I may be wrong, because I really don't know the description of this. I tried to do some research, and it sometimes says medium, sometimes it says large. And Wall Cut In is an attack that you can use with UDX Gustav, and it deals damage and also buffs. And the value is between 30 to 40s. If it's not that, it should be among 20 to 30s. Yes. So either 30 or 40% buff coming from Sif. We will have to try and test the values when we get the character. But as you can see, 7 VP for S damage is very close to SS, and also a buff. The good thing is that she can use this attack twice in a row. The bad thing is that it's, well, still aligned to a skill. She does not buff herself when normal attacking, like the current version of Ellen, like Ferdinand. So I don't think that she will be better than these characters. She's a replacement for those that missed them, but at least she can still do some okay damage if you lack it then. And the third one is now 14 BP triple S damage. That was changed for global as well. So let's give a look on the third skill. Onyama Ringing, I don't know how they would call this on global. It's a triple S attack, as you can see, 63 modifier instead of 73 like Darque, so a little less power. In Japan it had fast. This was pretty nice, since we could define when she was supposed to attack. But then, 15 BP coast, and she does have a passive that gives her 1 more BP on the start of a battle, to use her second skill twice, but she could never use her third skill on turn 1. That is in Japan, because in global she can. Yeah, look here, it's now 14 BP, and same thing, it's slash attack, but a new buff alongside the damage, and that is an amazing buff. It says, increases STR and dexterity for all surviving allies, with a small effect. It should be around 20% buff. Yeah, still very nice to be used, because she is a buffer if you also have her teacher version. We can open with this attack and then keep using the buff attack that she uses with her teacher style, but that only buffs STR. We'll be discussing the inheritance. But just to say, imagine that you are facing an event where we have only one boss and you want to use her alongside characters like Rofus, I don't know, other characters that can do damage with STR, like even Ferdinand, like Gray. Your best damage dealers, they are better on STR than Dex. She will increase the damage of them all, allowing you sometimes to kill a boss in one turn instead of wasting two, allowing you also to farm faster. She's now one of the best Platinum styles for sure because of that. So just to resume, what we have, a very strong opener with a buff to the squad, yeah, for squad. Also a very good attack to be used for cycles. This one should be sometimes better for boss fights or better for two-wave content. But I still believe that if you are using her for boss fights, you may prefer to use the last one to increase the damage of the whole squad. And the first one gives her a chance to instant kill, but, well, it's bad because she doesn't have a good cycle for instant kill anyway, and not a very high intelligence. And now for passes, the first one will give her a 40% chance of recovering HP, that should be around 500, and one more BP. Yeah, this is the same passive as we have with the newest version of Fuse. It triggers a lot. Yeah, I also think that UDX Gustave has one for healing, but not for BP. So this will help her cycling her inherited attack to buff STR. We'll talk about that in a few. And then what we have is increased damage when equipped with an axe. It was medium effect, it's now large. What it means for her? It was only 10% increase, now it's 15. That is good enough because the last one, Battle Tension, gives her 15 as well, and one more BP on the start of a fight. That is what allows her to, well, use skill number 3 as a fast attack on turn 1. So what we have, 30% increase at all times. Nothing related to HP or dealing damage against weak enemies. I feel like she is now very easy to use in many content, even content where we don't have an enemy weak to slash. If she deals enough damage and help your other characters to deal more damage as well, she will be used a lot. Be it on Rainbow Rangers, be it on Dragon Strike, and be it on Sigmoid. Okay, so I feel like Sif is now, like I said, one of the best Platinum styles in the game. She can also use one inherited attack that was buffed for global. We will not be able to see this pretty easily here on Japan because, yeah, Teacher Sif is way better than global. And this is Sif in global. This one is level 50. I feel like this one has a very close STR because of the bonuses, but way higher agility. The other status don't really matter that much. And she has this attack called Whale, that is a roll attack that deals slash and blunt. It's not that much for damage, because especially roll attacks are hard to use, but she increases the STR of everyone in the squad. So she can open with her third attack now and then try to use Whale. The problem is just that it's 5 BP, so maybe even if you get one more BP in a turn, you still have to skip some turns because of the coast. Although, at least she does damage while she attacks, and it can be used on auto setups, something that cannot be used with your normal buffers like Nawal's Daughter and Matriarch. She also has this Vacuum Strike attack that it's a very powerful attack for Column. Yeah, I feel like it's one of the best ones in the game, and can be used in some specific events as well. But that's about it. I feel like this version of Sif, it's extremely well done. But that's about it. I feel like this version of Sif is now way better than she was in Japan. She feels like she was totally redesigned to work better and will help in many events. But do you really need her right now? It will depend. Do you have the newest version of Final Empress? Do you summon it for silver? They can also do slash damage, although they are used in different setups. Sif is a very good opener for stages where you have only one enemy, while the other comparations that I just said are used in different scenarios. But do you need Sif now? I don't know. I will probably skip this banner because I, well, don't have many gems. If I had some more, I will probably summon because I like Darque. I can see a lot of usage from a character that don't need more inheritance than that. If you had your teacher version of Sif, you may feel like you may want to play with this one as well, so you have better options for opening and also can keep buffing. there will be some events where this is interesting. While Mirsa really has no reason to summon for. So it's either just Darque or Darque and Sif, and if you get Darque, I suggest you stop summoning because Sif will appear sooner or later in your Platinum pools. Is it worth summoning for? Only for those that need what they bring. Oh, and one last thing, in Japan we had a banner that was UDX romancing SaGa 1 with UDX J-Mew and UDX Claudia, two very good pierce damage dealers with some inheritances as well. UDX J-Mew can also insta-kill, can also do a lot of damage. Claudia is one of the top of the pierce damage dealers for a lot of time. Barbara is a buffer, although she's Platinum, and this Grey is also an upgrade based on the older versions of Grey. So, if you want to wait for Pierce, you can still summon on this banner, but if you want Darque now because you feel like you want more Pierce, it will be also an option. Thanks so much for watching this video. Please subscribe if you haven't. If you want to support the channel, you have the links here in the description, and don't forget to join our Discord server where we talk about SaGa and other franchises. We see each other on the next video. Bye.